Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
What is up, everybody? My name is Ray, and this is the Inspired Disorder podcast, formerly at one point early retirement vlog, now consolidated into a single show, Inspired Disorder podcast. This one, I'm going to just kind of recap an event that happened past few days. I watched a couple movies, Action Point, watched Adrift. There was UFC Fight Night that was on, and there's a few updates that are going to happen with this podcast specifically. So all those things I'm going to be talking about in this episode. But first, I want to say to everybody, if you want to watch this show, if you want to watch the video portion of the Inspired Disorder podcast, you want early access and a first look at all the artwork that I do, maybe you want a massive discount code for being a special member of a special group. You can do all those things over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder. That's patreon.com/inspireddisorder. That is where you get making of videos for all the many faces that I do, as well as Photoshops that I do. This past week, did a Photoshop for Ari Shaffir's Skeptic tank. Which was, he used. So you can watch the making of for that Photoshop. Again, all the paintings that I do, you get to see the paintings and artwork before anybody else does. And you get a massive discount code that you can use over at inspireddisorder.com. And coming up soon, the update I should just put up at the top here. Basically, I currently host the Inspired Disorder podcast through SoundCloud. I'm changing. It still might be through SoundCloud, but only a limited number of podcasts, potentially only the most recent podcast will be available, thus only being available only the one episode through iTunes. But I'm working on getting everything, the complete back library, archived episodes, getting all those up on the Patreon site. So if you want to go back to old episodes, whether it be from the early days when it was Derek Helmer and Justin King as my guests, my co-hosts, or you want to go back to kind of more recent history, where it's Keith Spurlock for the past few years, you can do that. Or if you want to just check back a couple weeks ago to see what my thoughts were on UFC Chile, you can do that. So expect those changes. I don't know exactly how it's all going to work out, but that's kind of what I would like to happen, to have just the most recent episode or two available through iTunes and all the past archive stuff going through the Patreon page. So go sign up. And Patreon, the first 100 supporters, the early adopters, as they're called, will be able to join for only $1. After the first 100, it goes up to $3. And I'm constantly trying to think of new content and bonus content to put up on the Patreon page. So go do it. It's just a monthly donation, $1 a month. I mean, if you want to donate more, you can do that. If you want to get ahead of the curve and donate $3 right off the bat, or $5 a month, or $20 a month, you can do that. Every bit of money helps, and the more I'm able to grow this and do it, the more I'm able to add to benefits that you get as being a member. But it also helps me afford to live and do the things and create the art that I want to create. So I appreciate everybody that is a member, and for those that have left, I apologize for not giving you what you wanted, or thank you, I should say, for the amount of months that you did support me with your donation. and I'm sorry to see you go. How about that? So you can find all that patreon.com/inspired disorder. Now, this past week, for those that may know, may not know what I do a lot of things to make money, whether it's freelance artwork and graphic design, photography, all of those things. But I also do driving, Uber, Lyft, more recently Postmates as well, added to the roster. And the other day, Friday? No, this was Sunday. It was my last drive Sunday. This is 2 days ago. Today is Tuesday. Recording this the day I need to release this. So, doing good on that end. But Friday, and here's the thing, like driving, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when an accident's going to happen, and I've gotten pretty close. Mostly the biggest close calls were in Denver when I was just doing Uber Eats, and just roads are insane there. There's a lot of people that don't know how to drive. Majority of the cars have body damage to them just from, I'm sure, ice on the roads or just people not being able to drive at all, which happens so much. And happens here too. But anyway, so it was Friday. One of my last rides, I was hoping it would be I'd get one more, but I was coming back from Palm Springs from the airport, pick somebody up at the airport, and coming back towards on the other end of the valley. So Palm Springs and La Quinta, they're kind of on opposite ends of the valley, and it's nice. It's nice to get a ride out to Palm Springs to drive because it's generally more busy out there. That's kind of where people go, shops and things like that, before it gets extremely hot and I'm sure just dies off completely. But so it's nice to get out to Palm Springs and get some driving in. But then on my way back, it's always nice to get a couple rides, or a ride a lot of the times, which is nice, out to this side of the valley. And I got one, and it was about halfway, but I'm taking him to this place. I'm taking him to drop him off at this apartment complex community thing, gated community. And it's a weird thing, and he mentions it as we pull up. It's like this weird, because all the streets have like walls on the side of them. There's a lot of gated communities and stuff like that. So you'll be going down a lot of like main streets, and you don't see anything except for like a big wall, and then on the other side of it, you see like the roofs of houses and trees and shit. This one was, usually there's a little bit of a driveway going into these places. It's not so much of a blind fucking thing, but it's like the wall meets the curb meets the street. So you can only come at it from one way. And I drop them off. It's whatever. I drop them off. I turn around, and I'm coming out, and they have one of those bubble mirrors. And I'm going slow. I'm looking at the bubble mirror. Don't see anybody coming. I'm kind of creeping out, trying to like look like around the corner, because it's like by the time my view is past the wall and the bushes that are on that side of that go up that wall, like the front end of my van is already going to be in the street. So I'm creeping, I'm looking, and then I start to go because I didn't see anything in the bubble mirror. I'm not seeing anything coming. I start to go, and I'm kind of looking to see where I go. It's especially in Denver where there's, you get a lot of people, pedestrians crossing the street. I like to make sure there's nobody crossing my path as I'm looking this way. But of course, there's no sidewalk. There's no buffer viewing area at all whatsoever in this situation. It's like I'm pretty sure I see the bubble mirror. There's nobody coming. I'm creeping as much as I can. I don't see anybody coming. At some point, you just got to go. So I just go. And of course, as I go, I look, and fucking car coming at me. Close. Honking his horn. Assuming it's a dude driving. I don't know. Honking his horn. Close. And by close, I mean like, at speed too. And these streets, you can go like 45, 50 miles an hour. Luckily, there's a stoplight right, 100 feet away from where I am. So assuming that stoplight is red, he's slowing down and not at full speed. But if that stoplight's green, he's going maybe 50 miles an hour. And he's like a car lane maybe 2, but fast approaching, right? So I look, I see car, honking horn. I'm like, fuck. You know, the moment in when you realize kind of what you might do in a catastrophic emergency or an accident, like I just like fuck, kind of like almost like I just lost a video game, but like wasn't really passionate about that video game when I lost it. It's like fuck, I fucked up. Like it's a really weird, like I don't know. Is it, potentially telling to what my mental state is. I don't know. But I throw my fucking hands up like a retard. In my mind, I'm thinking of, like, I need to throw the fucking van in reverse. I need to hit the gas and punch it, punch it back into this fucking thing. But the reality of the situation is my hands go up, no longer on the wheel. My foot is the only part of my body that listened to like the inner monologue of shit I need to do. Like my hands didn't shift down into reverse. Not that it would have fucking happened. I probably would have. I don't know. So I'm still in drive. My foot's the only thing. So it slams on the fucking gas, right? Which is the worst. It's like, oh, instead of just barely having to avoid the front of my van, now I'm going to put out the whole thing. I'm just going to put the whole van out right in front of you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're all dying right now. I'm sorry. And I'm just going to make it just easy on all of us. So this car's coming, honking at me, and my fucking retardness lifts my hands off the steering wheel, pushes down on the gas, and I feel, now my brain wakes up again, and it's like, oh, this plan went horribly wrong. Like, I didn't do any of the things that I should have done to, like, get back into that thing. So I'm coming out. My hands grab the wheel again. My foot still on the gas. I can't get my foot off the gas to go to the brake, right? It's just on the gas. You know, I probably let up at this moment because it's all happening in a split second. Finally grab the wheel, turn the wheel, right? Honk, 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 honk. Person right here. Maybe screeching wheels. I don't know. I kind of blacked out. And then, like, somehow I turned the van, right? The van felt like I was on water. Like how much the movement was of, like, me hitting the gas, accelerating, and then turning the wheel to get the fuck out of, hopefully, the way of whatever's fast approaching. And then I stopped at the fucking stoplight. The person that thankfully was on point with their driving ability, despite my inability to do shit but hit the gas pedal and make it 100 times worse for whoever the fuck almost killed themselves plummeting into the side of the driver's side of the van. I couldn't look over. I kind of just took a couple deep breaths, and I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of here. I don't want to deal. Like, I survived this situation. Nothing happened. Like, there was no touching of one car to another car. I mean, maybe the other driver had a heart attack. That could happen. There's a lot of old people here. It was kind of like an old person car. Could have had a fucking heart attack. I don't know. I'm a horrible person. It was all my fault. This whole thing is my fault. I mean, I could blame the bubble mirror. I could blame, like, I handled that situation in the worst way possible. Thankfully, nothing happened to me. Nothing happened. They didn't, like, as far as, I don't know about mentally and, like, health-wise inside of the car, but they didn't run into anything. I didn't run into anything. Light was red. I just fucking stopped, checked, fucking bounced. I was gone. I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here right now. And I'm like, logged off all the fucking apps that I was doing. And I was like, I am done for the day. I am so done for the day. Didn't end up getting as shaken up as I thought I would, as far as adrenaline. It happened so fast in the moment. I was like at the stoplight a little, shaken up a little bit, the hand shaking. But by the time I got out of there and like nothing had happened, I was good. But damn nearly died. Felt like that was a situation where, yeah, it's just they could have not been paying attention at all and just plowed right into the driver's side door. And, I'm sure my van has like airbags and shit like that probably would have helped save me a little bit. But, the amount of money, like they would have caused so many problems. There would have been so many issues. They would have been horrible. But thankfully, I survived. I can bring you another podcast. But yeah, it was a crazy situation, and it's one of those things. Like, I remember I was working at Blockbuster in the desert. I was working. It was my second job. I was also working at a movie theater as a projectionist. I was trying to pay off some medical bills that I had, and had a second job at Blockbuster. And there were some robberies that were going around. A lot of the fast food places have been getting held up. And I remember talking shit with my supervisors about, like, oh, I'd like them to come in here, and if I fucking do this and that, whatever. A few days later, two guys in ski masks, one carrying a nice, big, shiny handgun, come in. Right as we're closing the door, like, my supervisor went to lock the exit door, and they ran right in through the entrance door. I was at the counter checking in a PlayStation at the time. I think it was PlayStation 2, maybe, just come out. I don't remember. It was like 2000, maybe. 2000, somewhere in there. And guy comes in, puts the gun to my forehead because he thought I was in charge because I was older than my supervisor. And, we went and did the whole... They locked me in the bathroom. Didn't lock me. They put me in the bathroom. We went back to the employee office where the safe was. One dude behind. I think they both had guns. I don't remember if the other guy had a gun. Kind of single file line. Each of the masked robbers behind each of us. There's just two of us working. They put me in the bathroom. And they put the supervisor on his knees in front of the safe, and he was trying to be a hero. I mean, I was like 20 at the time, and my supervisor was like 17 or some shit. He was young and trying to be a fucking superhero, not wanting to give them the code to the safe until they, cocked the gun and put it to the back of his head, and then he, did that. And, so it's like, it's in those situations where it's like, literally we were talking about what we would do in those situations, and then that situation happened. And it's just like all these people that buy guns thinking that they're just gonna know how to handle a high pressure situation with a firearm, like, where lives are at stake. Like, oh, you don't need to learn how to use a gun. Even if let's just say you own a gun and you go to the firing range every fucking day. Let's say you go every fucking day. And let's say every day you put a full clip through a fucking quarter-size hole. Your grouping's amazing, whatever. That person in a high-stress situation most likely will not perform to their highest ability, because they've only spent their time shooting in a completely controlled environment, in a shooting range where there's no distractions, nobody's shooting back at them, their adrenaline's not flying through the roof. There's stories of like police officers that like break their fingers trying to pull the trigger, trying to shoot somebody that's, firing on them, but they break their finger because they never took the safety off. It's just all these people are delusional, thinking that, it's just like, if there's a mass shooter, I'm going to have a gun. I'll be armed, so I'm okay. It's like, bullshit. There's like 20 videos of like people actually stopping criminals that have guns. It's like there's an exponentially more infinite number of times where people probably have guns in situations and shoot the wrong person or don't. Like, it happens all the time. People suck in high pressure situations. It's like taking somebody who's like fucking great at the gym, throwing punches at pads and kicking heavy bags, and then throwing them in like the octagon for the UFC. It's like, oh yeah, I've done it in this controlled environment. I could easily just do it when there's another person fucking throwing punches at me. People are so fucking delusional. And I drive all the time. I'm a good driver. And like in that situation, there's a lot of other things that I could have done to make the situation easier on the other dude and myself to avoid that. And I did all of the wrong things for the most. In a split second, I did wrong things, and then I caught up to doing better things. But it's just like the delusion people have, where it's just like, I'll just buy a gun, and now I'm fucking a superhero marksman guy, and it's just like, it's easy. It's just easy to be good at shit. It's like, it's not easy to be good at anything. It takes work to be great at anything. Fucking, you can't just buying some shit. Like, buying paintbrushes and paint doesn't mean you know how to fucking use any of them. You can throw them on canvas. Anybody can do that. Children do that. But to do it well with, like, you know, technique and thought, you can go fuck yourself. Anyway. So that was the last time I drove. I haven't been... no, that's not true. I think that may have been Saturday, and then Sunday I drove more. I don't know. But anyway, so that happened. I did see a couple movies. Saw the new movie from Johnny Knoxville, Action Point, based on the amusement park on the East Coast called, I want to say it was called Action Park. And it's a park. I think I'd heard about it. I want to say Vicky Pezza, podcast producer, been on this show back when guests were a thing many years ago. I think she had talked about this park, and it's like, basically it was an amusement park, and they got rid of all the safety regulations and safety measurements, and like kids can do fucking what. It was like in the time where kids could do whatever the fuck they wanted to do. And there may have been a Dollop also, which is a history podcast. Comedy history podcast that they may have done an episode on Action Park as well. So the movie's based on that, starring Johnny Knoxville, and it's very much like a blending of, it's kind of like Bad Grandpa in a way, or Borat, where it's blending like scripted stuff with like kind of live reactions. Although no, this isn't that at all. My bad. This is all scripted stuff. But the stunt work is more Jackass style, where they set it up to do these stunts within a scripted show, is more of the kind of style. There's not really any non-actors that are kind of reacting to anything that I could think of. But it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Like, you know, it's almost like because it was so much of like, you know, them doing their stunts, or pretty much Johnny Knoxville doing these stunts in a movie. It kind of like the movie lost a little bit. Like, it didn't have as much oomph as it could have had to, because there like some, like Johnny Pemberton's in there. It's like there's some characters that you don't really get to know anything. It's all kind of like, oh, they're trying to save the park. So in an effort to save the park, because there's competition going in, big corporate like Six Flags kind of thing, that he's like, fuck it, we're gonna go the other way. We're gonna go fucking just as dangerous as possible. But it's like there's no real stakes. You don't really feel it at all, you know? And plus, all those movies, you know, usually end very similarly. But it was pretty funny. It wasn't like... there was a couple funny moments, but I don't know. As far as funny movies go, I would rather watch a Jackass movie, you know, than a decent comedy with like big stunt pieces in it. You know, it was okay. It was okay. It was all right. Like, as when it comes out on VOD, you know, or streaming, then I'm sure it'll do fine. Not really. It's not a must go see. And it's one thing, like the other movie I saw, Adrift, which is based on a true story also. Like, what I like a lot of movies that are based on real shit is that they show clips and maybe pictures and things like from the real thing. But this one didn't do it, and I was kind of hoping they would. Versus Adrift actually did, where they show like pictures of the original people and all that kind of shit. So Action Point was all right, and Adrift was good. It, like, if you were to look up the actual story, you may be spoiled for kind of a twist, which I did know it going into the movie. I was told just before going to see this movie. I didn't know it was going to be a spoiler. But if you do know the true thing, then there's kind of like a thing. I like even mentioning giving it a name uh, in reference to another movie. But there's a little twist that makes more sense if you know the real story, and it doesn't really make more. I don't know. Here. I'm gonna spoil it. Fuck it. Adrift. I'm gonna spoil it kind of quick. Spoil the twist. Basically, I mean, it's a movie about this girl. She's like a drifter. She just kind of works in places and travels, and works to make enough money to travel to the next spot. And she's going to Haiti, and she gets a job working on the docks. This guy comes in, pulls his boat into the docks one day, and they kind of hit it off and have a thing. And he gets asked to, by other sailors that he's met on his trip, they offer him $10,000 to take their ship back to San Diego because there's family health issues, and they've known him. So he's given this task of sailing their boat from Tahiti back to San Diego. I believe it's Tahiti. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive. And because he met this girl, he ends up taking this girl with him. And the whole story is told in kind of a twofold thing. Like, it opens with the girl, the female character, waking up just after a big wreck at sea. And so it's kind of her in this wreck at sea. So that the boat crashes, So, and she's, the dude is lost at sea. And so it kind of cuts back from the moment she wakes up in this accident and then also when she meets this dude, and then kind of stories kind of intertwine until you see, the accident happen. And then the ultimate kind of the spoiler part of it, which is in real life, like in the movie, she ends up finding him, and he's adrift on this dinghy that he's able to cling to, and she brings him aboard, trying to nurse him to health, and but there's moments in it that are foreshadow that maybe this isn't real. Maybe she's hallucinating. There's even a moment where a ship passes and she thinks she's hallucinating that. But then you see, it gets to the point in the story where the actual wreck happens, and you see that he just kind of sinks away and dies. And so the person that she saved was imposter the whole time, a Russian spy. And that's where the movie just takes a huge turn. And then it's this whole, no, I'm just joking. He's a hallucination. So it's like a Tyler Durden kind of a thing where, which I can see they kind of play that up for the movie because it gives her somebody to play off of through most of the movie. And it's just not this one actress kind of dealing, but although it kind of is. I thought it was good. I thought the actress was good. I thought the movie was good. And even knowing that he dies right away in the actual accident, I think they brought it all together fine. I was kind of worried going into it because all the trailers leading up to it were kind of just shitty action movie trailers and like just stupid kind of like movies that I didn't even think they still made. Like just shitty movies that you would have seen come out in the 90s. But yeah, I thought maybe it was going to be some like overly romantic kind of a thing, and it was good. It wasn't. I didn't think it was. I thought it was good. I don't know. I enjoyed it. Definitely some emotions watching that one. But it was a good movie. Go watch Adrift. I mean, if you're looking, there's another one. There's a couple movies that are out that I want to see that I haven't seen yet. One is Upgrade, where a guy, gets a implant in his spine or his brain that allows him to, it's almost like he's able to communicate with it, and it unlocks abilities that he has now that he has this ability to process, like it gives you a better brain or some shit. I don't know. It looks like a cool movie. And then Beast is another, it's more of an independent movie that looks kind of good. Drama. So those I might catch those hopefully this week at some point. I'm sure there's some big summer movies that still have yet to come out. But those I saw, Action Point and Adrift, both decent movies, depending on your mood. If you're looking for a little bit more of a comedy with a lot of, jackass stunt kind of stuff. I also loved the other jackass guy that was in that movie. Let's see, Action Point. Let's see. Action Point. Oh, it only got 19% Rotten Tomatoes. Ugh. Chris Pontius, which I actually enjoyed him. His character was like, I want to just see that character in a movie, pretty much. I don't think Johnny Knoxville's that great of an actor. He's decent in some stuff, but he did a movie with Jackie Chan that was actually pretty decent. One of those, kind of the Jackie Chan buddy movies. It's that, but with Johnny Knoxville, which I thought that was good team up. And then let's go to the UFC fights, which they were good fights, definitely. It was a fight night. Jimmy Rivera versus Marlon Moraes. Don't get excited, Izzy. People are home. They're making noise. So great card. I actually went and missed the first part of this card because I went to go see Action Point. But then, we rewatched the fight. But the main card, good. Sam Alvey versus John Vellante ended up being kind of as expected, just not the most action, but definitely, Sam Alvey, I thought, won it. Definitely just connected a little bit more, controlled it a little, I don't know. It was all right. It was a split decision win. Then it was Julio Arce versus Daniel Tamer. He beat Tamer with a submission. Ben Saunders hit Jake Ellenberger with a crazy knee. Which that fight, Ben Saunders versus Jake Ellenberger, kind of like guys that are towards the end of their career. But good to see Ben Saunders. But still have a little life left. I don't know if either of them getting anywhere close to a belt. Welterweight, kind of a tough division. But a good fight and good win for Ben Saunders. Walt Harris versus Daniel Spitz. Just heavy punches from Harris ends up, which is always interesting. It's always fun to see somebody in heavyweight kind of start to come up. He's definitely got good hands. I don't know how well he would do on the ground. I don't know how his jiu-jitsu is. But in that fight, it was pretty good. Gillespie versus Vincent Pickle was a arm triangle. And then Marlon Moraes versus Jimmy Rivera was a freaking head kick. Just super early into the first round. Head kick. Undefeated. Or maybe this is only his second loss, Jimmy Rivera, but it's been fucking forever that he's lost. Good fight, man. Moraes makes that weight class interesting. Be curious to see who fights next after maybe Moraes versus TJ, I guess would be the potential matchup there. But some good fights overall. There's a pay-per-view coming up. Let me get to that one. UFC 225 this Saturday coming up. Robert Whittaker headlining against Yoel Romero. It's a rematch. Robert Whittaker won the interim belt from Yoel and was supposed to fight the winner of Bisping versus GSP. GSP won it and then relinquished the belt, thus making Whittaker the new champion. It was supposed to be. Then Yoel fought Rockhold and thankfully beat Rockhold even though he missed weight. Rockhold shouldn't have had an opportunity to fight for an interim belt off of beating Branch. Like, I don't. Rockhold is, for somebody who complains as much as Rockhold does, he's like given opportunities that he probably shouldn't be given. As far as like, I don't know, he's just a whiny bitch, and it's crazy how exactly much of a whiny bitch, like all the things that he said when Bisping was champ. As soon as GSP won the belt, he was saying the exact same things. He's saying the exact same bullshit, just whining about shit, not wanting to fight. Fuck Rockhold. Rockhold is just, he is like every like pretty boy that's like athletic pretty boy that's never really, I mean, he's never really had any hardships, doesn't know what it's like to be an average looking person, doesn't know what it's like to be, it's just like, it's just people are in, it's like a hot chick. It's just like they have no idea. People are in awe of hot chicks and hot dudes, and just they really have to deal with very little adversity in their life, and then to be a whiny bitch on top of that and just kind of complain and just, I don't know, it's just his attitude was just fuck you. So yeah, Yoel beat him, and now he's fighting Robert Whittaker again for the main championship this time, not a interim belt. And I think Whittaker's. I got Whittaker for sure. Although, I mean, Yoel can definitely win it. I just think Whittaker, he's healthy now. Like, he blew out his knee in the first round of the first fight and was still totally won that fight. And then you have Rafael Dos Anjos versus Colby Covington. I'm surprised Covington is, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a weird matchup for both of them in a way, to be fighting for an interim belt. Because this time the champion is the annoying whiny person. Just as soon as he won the belt, he doesn't want to fight anybody except for big names because of his legacy for some reason. Instead of defending his belt against, contenders, he's just never, whether he's, he may accept every fight that he's given, but verbally how he acts and what he says during press conferences, he's a whiny bitch. So I'm kind of glad we're getting an interim belt out of this, and we'll see. From what I heard, I think it was his manager on the MMA Hour that if Colby Covington wins it, then Tyron Woodley's going to come back from his injury sooner. But if Dos Anjos, then he's going to take more time off. Which is like, if your body's healing, it's not going to heal faster for Covington. I would almost love to see. I don't like Covington as far as what he says. I think he's a good fighter. And I think for being a professional fighter and not like a politician or somebody that enacts public policy or laws, somebody that just is a fighter and he wants to be a douchebag, that's one thing. Basically doing the Trump shtick to get people riled up. Is a lot more bearable when it's just somebody that's doesn't have control of nuclear weapons. It's not as crazy. So I wouldn't mind Colby Covington winning and beating. I don't know. I would enjoy it just to shut Woodley up. I would love to just not hear Woodley talk anymore. He's just an annoying champion. Versus Holloway was the complete opposite when he won the belt. He's like, fuck all your super fights. I mean, opportunities, yeah, he'll take them, but it's not his goal to be in super fights. His goal to like dominate that division and destroy everybody that tries to come for his belt, like a true champion should, and not trying to be like some fucking fake superstar. It's like, nobody gives a shit that you're in a bunch of shitty fucking movies, Tyron Woodley. Nobody gives a fuck. Train. Be a champion in your fucking profession. Then we have Holly Holm. This is a featherweight fight, so 145. Holly Holm's fighting Megan Anderson, which is a good fight. I want Megan Anderson to win. Holly Holm is not impressive. She's had a couple impressive fights, a couple impressive wins, but in general, she doesn't pull the trigger in fights. She's always counter fighting. It's just boring. So I want Megan Anderson. Holly Holm could easily win, but I want Megan Anderson to win. Andre Arlovsky versus Tai Tuivasa. Arlovsky kind of dude has like it looks like he's done, and then he changes up his camp and he looks great. Tuivasa though is not a joke, so I would imagine Tuivasa is going to win this one just because Arlovsky, it's crazy. I don't know. And then of course CM Punk versus Mike Jackson. Both fighters have lost in the UFC. Have only had one fight. Both have lost to the same guy, Mickey Gall. And CM Punk apparently signed 4 years ago and has only had one fight so far ever in his entire life. Never competed in any form except for the fake WWE, which is not real competition, is scripted, which everybody knows. They're improv stunt people. They're not like good. They're not athletes, I would say. They're stunt people. I mean, I guess you'd have to be athletic to some degree, but CM Punk was in WWE for I don't know how many years, and he doesn't know how to fucking wrestle. It's not like real wrestling happens, and it's live action movie bullshit. So don't really give a shit. It would be nice to see if CM Punk does anything, considering he didn't do shit against Mickey Gall. Whatever. Alistair Overeem is headlining the prelim card against Curtis Blades. Blades kind of an up-and-comer. Overeem, another one of those guys, long in the tooth, kind of has ups and downs. Claudia Gadelha versus Carla Esparza. Gadelha has been right up at the top of the heap at strawweight. Carla Esparza kind of putting together more of a striking game, kind of becoming more well-rounded, interesting. I think Claudia Gadelha is still going to win it. Esparza, she does win. She has been winning, but Esparza had been, if she can't get you down, she's fucked. But now she seems to be adding a little bit more to her game, but I think Gadelha is going to win it. Ricardo Lamas versus Mirsad Bektik. Don't know. Probably Bektik will win. I don't know. Rashad Coulter versus Chris De La Rocha. Don't know. Rashad Evans fighting Anthony Smith. I got Smith. This is Rashad back at light heavyweight, I guess. This is on the Fight Pass prelims. Rashad Evans is the feature bout. Joseph Benavidez is bad against Sergio Pettis. So Little Pettis. Wow, this is a stacked fucking card, man. I would go with Pettis just because Benavidez has been out forever, but then you got Clay Guida versus Charles Oliveira. Motherfucker. Then Mike Santiago versus Dan Eigel, which the one fight is nobody's recognizable. That's a crazy card. I am looking forward to that. That's this Saturday, June 9th, coming up. For sure. Check it out. Let me know what your picks are. Or whatever. Let me know if there's any movies you want me to see. If there's movies, maybe they're not out. I try to see everything that comes out in theaters. With my movie pass, I try to use that as much as possible. And so if there's something that, maybe was in theaters and went through theaters and I haven't talked about it yet on this podcast and you'd like to know my opinion on it, let me know. I'm always looking to watch new movies. I was actually just updated my Fire Stick because Covenant was no longer working. So I updated that and was looking for some movies to... You want to say something, Izzy? Huh? I was looking for some movies that I missed in theaters. Yeah. So anyway, that's it for this episode, everybody. Thankfully, I didn't get in a car accident. Did get to watch a couple good movies and some great fights. Some great, even better fights coming up this Saturday. Definitely looking forward to it. And what else? New artwork's going to be updated on Patreon soon. So go over to patreon.com/inspireddisorder, patreon.com/inspireddisorder. And you will, as soon as by the end of this week, I should have at least another 10 paintings up. And the making of videos for those paintings, and so you'll be able to get first access if you want to purchase any of those, watch the making of videos, all that stuff. Thank you all for watching. My name is Ray Taylor. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Ray Taylor. Ask me questions. I haven't done one of those Ask Me Questions episodes in a while. Maybe I'll do that for Thursday or Friday or whatever this week. Put out another episode. And so if you have any questions for me, please ask away at Ray Taylor on Instagram and Twitter. That's it. Peace out.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Inspired Disorder podcast. Embedded signals within this podcast have reprogrammed your natural thinking patterns. Side effects may include lack of inhibitions, erectile dysfunction, anal leakage, transcendental communication with beings from 4 of the 7 primary dimensions. In the event of a tear in space-time, please keep your hands down and feet together. Any loss of life or limbs due to interdimensional travel is not the responsibility of this podcast.